Bible. Is it hard to understand?
When it comes to reading the Bible, the first thing that comes to mind is the fact that this is the Word of God.
The seals have been broken, and the truth is here.
And when we go throughout the scriptures, when we go throughout extra biblical records, we find that the language that God employed, that He used to create the heavens and the earth, was the Hebrew language.
Christ said, I came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But yet no one, no religious leader, no religious church out there anywhere can now identify the 12 tribes of Israel. Can we? God is quite simple, but it seems as if man makes understanding Him hard.
What are those mysteries?
The truth of your book and the truth will make you free. The Hebrew and Bible Academy, you're invited. To Zion. I was lost, but now I'm found. I'm a child of Israel. I heard the sound. Hear the sound. Please give me the strength to stand today. With my eyes towards the east, show me the way. Lord God, my path, show me the way to Zion. I opened up the book and see that the apple of your eye included me. And through the tribulation, I know I must stand. For a new heaven, a new earth, show me the way to Zion. I'm on my knees, laying my life on the line. I'm begging, please, please don't let me fall. Give me the strength. Place my feet, guide my path, show me the way to Zion.
I feel the Spirit calling me, drawing me back home. Oh, been suffering with my family, I know it won't be long. One day you're gonna look for me. I lay down my life, I'm begging, please.
Shalom. Hit the like button. Come on.
Please don't let me fall.
Come on and hit thank you. Hit the like button as you come in. I really appreciate it.
Place my feet, guide my path, show me the way to Zion.
I'm on my knees, laying my life on the line. I'm begging, please, I'll get that in Enoch later. I'll get that later. All right, let's jump right into it. I'll get that later.
Yes, sir.
All right. Shalom, brothers and sisters. I'm Elder Rawchaa here with Elder Lawya of the Gathering of Christ Church, and I would like to say Shabbat Shalom to all of our brothers and sisters throughout the four corners of the earth. Thank you for your presence, and I pray that the Most High is hedging you and your family on this Sabbath. We have a great lesson that have been prepared for you today called Living in the End of the World. Okay? Living in the End of the World. Now, before I go into the lesson, okay, I would like to just state that I think tomorrow we'll be going into, in the academy, we'll be going into finding the Ark of the Covenant, right? And I've noticed on the comment threads, as well as the email that have been received, that some people were, they really wanted to hear the teaching portals, which we did last week in the academy. I don't know, maybe some people got confused and thought that it was something that we was going to teach here on our regular Sabbaths or during the week, when we deal with current events and stuff like that during the week. But portals is a lesson that was prepared strictly for the Hebrew and Bible Academy. But I have good news. Since it is the first time we've ever taught portals, the gateway between heaven and earth, right? We're going to also teach that in the next academy, okay? That academy starts March 22nd, okay, next month. So you can actually just send an email. Matter of fact, you can go straight to historytimes.org, historytimes.org, enroll there, and we'll put you in. Make sure you get your welcome pack and all that well before the next academy, and you'll receive the full lesson, Portals, the gateway between heaven and earth. But this time when we teach portals in the next academy, we're going to go into some of what the NASA scientists have been discussing concerning that particular technology that America has today, the Western world had for a while, on how to get through those portals and all that. Because I actually went into the fact that the scientists found the portals, right? But then I started diving into information on NASA and all that. Now that they have found the portals, what is NASA's plan with the portals that's in the earth that goes into the heavens on the outside of the firmament? So I'm going to be talking about that and more in the next academy. And also we're going to be dealing with the fact that there's new information that's coming out through the American government concerning the suppression of extraterrestrial activity, or their connection with what they would call aliens. That's written in certain what you would call top secret papers that soon to be released, or they have released lately, 4 separate documents, and what that has to do with the portals that the Bible identifies. Okay, that's right. Understand, there's nothing that's concealed when it comes to understanding. The Bible breaks down everything. It breaks down the gateways between heaven and earth, how the angels travel, the fact that our terrestrial bodies cannot go through these gates. So I touched on that, and even the people in the academy that have been in the academy for 10, 15 times said it was one of the most eye-opening lessons that was done thus far on that particular type of level. So outside of the history and all that, right? So let me tell you, a lot of information, like I've said in the Hebrew and Bible Academy commercial, that the seals have been broken and the truth is here. There's a lot of information that if you go into the Bible and study and understand how Christ is going to enter into the earth through those same portals, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to tell you, the closer we come to the kingdom, the more information gets revealed. So to quantify it, just to wrap that up, yes, I'm sorry that a lot of you probably thought that it was something that we would teach, during the week, but we will not only teach portals in the next academy, more information on the portals will be added, okay? So if this interests you, don't worry about it. Just go to historytimes.org and enroll, okay? Enroll in the academy. We are taking enrollments currently. So if this interests you, we'll be going into that. And I think this Sunday, tomorrow, again, we'll be going into finding the Ark of the Covenant. Where is it in the earth? And why am I going into the Ark of the Covenant? Well, it links to the gates when it comes to what? The connection between the Ark of the Covenant on earth and the heavenly realm or the throne of God. Okay? So a lot of you probably don't know that the Ark of the Covenant is an artifact that the Levites carried. Only the priests could carry this. Okay? Coming out of Egypt, the sons of Aaron would carry this box of power from the heavens, from on high. And if they open up this box, the power of God from the heavens would come through this to battle in war against God's enemies. The greatest weapon ever known to earth, and a power source. And it's a power source. It led us out of Egypt. It was one of the things that we had in the wilderness, guiding us in connection with the clouds of heaven. We'll be going into that tomorrow, finding the Ark of the Covenant. It's not in Ethiopia. It wasn't carried to the Americas. It's exactly where the Most High told the prophet to place it, cloaked, so that no man could find it. Tomorrow, in the Hebrew and Bible Academy, we're going to break down the Ark of the Covenant, the history on it, what the liars are saying, proclaiming concerning it, which is the devil. And we're going to show people in the academy exactly where it is in the earth. The Bible gives us the location. Even though the modern day archaeologists and historians have been trying to throw people off the trail, the Bible gives the information concerning the fact that the children of Israel, our people who are scattered in exile right now, will one day again hold the Ark of the Covenant. Our people. We will get it back. No other nation can touch it. Okay? So tomorrow, since we just went into portals last week, we're going into finding the Ark of the Covenant. All right? Tomorrow. Okay, and I hope you all are there. And those that are part of the academy, these 2 lessons will be added into the next academy. So don't worry about it, because these are the 2 latest lessons. And a matter of fact, Elder Lawya, I'm working on a few. It's coming in my mind. I'm working on a few new lessons so that we can actually build in the academy. Because why? You can't stay stagnant, even though each lesson is different with the same title. I would like to bring in new information. Even when we go into the creation of the universe next time, I'm going to go into more so. And I did it before, but we're going to break it down. The hierarchy. The hierarchy of angels in the celestial realm is what I'm going to be highlighting in the creation of the universe. So if this interests you, and like I said, this is class, folks. It's entirely different than the lessons we be given here, which is sort of kind of a class, but it's class. You get your PDF sent to you. The administration works around the clock to make sure you get all your tools that's needed. Okay? You get all the tools that's needed, your lesson, the links. It's like being in a class. A lot of work and effort and preparation goes on this side that none of you couldn't even imagine. Okay? To make sure the academy is the experience that keep brothers and sisters coming back into it. Okay, a lot of work is put into this behind the scenes. We make sure you get your PDFs. We make sure you get your links and all these things. There's interaction in the comments during the news, right? There's interaction with the Hebrew when Elder Lawya go into it. So if people have questions, they can type it in and interact to make sure what they're growing when it comes to the Hebrew language. On top of that, there's Q&A after the lesson so that you can actually ask the teachers questions. I mean, there's nothing like it that I've ever experienced since knowing I was an Israelite to have all of this quantified in one day. Okay. Also, okay, last but not least, brothers and sisters, at the end of the academy, we give out our caveats, right? We give out my precept links that I had when I first taught on the streets, right? All of those different breakdowns that was in that little green book, Elder Lawya typed out, and we give that to the people at the end so that you can have those regular breakdowns which began the ministry of the Gathering of Christ Church. Also at the end of the academy, just like any other school, that's right, there's a test. And in that test, you go through it just to test your own progression. Like if just say if you didn't do too well in the Hebrew, but you did okay and you're doing a little better when it comes to the questions concerning that were in the lessons that we gave for the 12 weeks. Well, you understand the areas based on the questions that you might have gotten wrong. These are the areas that one must now focus and study, right? To become well-rounded, to know that you've obtained and understood the full 12 weeks. You can now look in the areas of weakness or places that you're really, a lot of people don't like to go into history and these, that, the other. It makes it a way in which you can test yourself to know what areas to improve when it comes to growing in this word. To learn your Bible, okay? To understand the book, all right? And it's a class. That's what it is. It's school. So I want to make sure I give people a well-rounded understanding. If I could, I can't. You have to be in it to understand it, right? But to give you some insight to understanding that the academy isn't just what we see here, okay? It isn't just us getting in front of you teaching it's not that. Okay, there's an administration involved. There's a lot of work. People working 24 hours a day. A lot of components that are working to service people throughout the four corners of the earth. And that's what the academy is. It's not just me and Lawya sitting here, open up the book and teach it. Okay? Mm-hmm. All right? There's hours upon hours of data gathering. Okay? Hours upon hours of study that's quantified. White papers that we must go into. Information from the universities that we must pay for. All of these things we have to quantify and give it to you so you don't have to research. The only thing you have to do is open it up and confirm and confirm. Go into the research to confirm that everything we're bringing to you is correct without any research at all. It's done for you. Okay? And not once in the academy with the information that we've quantified and studied and brought to you has anyone came back with the information we've brought forth and say, you know what? I've looked into these researchers, the secular researchers, the university researchers, and found that there's something incorrect in it. So folks, understand, there's a lot of work. The academy is not just what we do here, put the scriptures together and have the lessons that come before you, even though this is paramount. It's what got us here. Okay? But the academy is a school. All right? And I wanted to make sure people understand that, because you have others out there who would try to downplay it and try to say, well, it shouldn't cost. You don't understand what it costs to actually stream the academy. Okay, we can't stream that for free. You don't understand. These are costs when it comes to a school. There's cost and time. All right, so I wanted to put that out there, and we made sure, even though it cost us more to do the academy from the time it began, brothers and sisters, we never went up on the price of the academy. Since there were 35 people in it, even though it cost us more to actually do the academy, it cost us hands over, man, you wouldn't believe the exorbitant costs. But we never parlayed those costs to those who are in the academy. Just so that you can know. Okay? So I wanted to put that out there. That's the academy. It's there for you. If you want to be a part of it, historytimes.org. It's nothing like it. Okay? Now, jumping right in, Elder Lawya, if you may.
Yes, sir.
Let's do the Hebrew credo real quick.
Yes, sir. Shema Yasha'Allah Ahaya Allahayanawa Ahaya Akkad.
Shema Yasha'Allah Ahaya Allahayanawa Ahaya Akkad.
Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one.
Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one God. Now, here we go, going straight in. Going straight into the lesson. Living in the end of the world. First and foremost, brothers and sisters, we have to understand, and you have to understand, right, that there's a difference between Jew and Gentile. Okay, there's a difference. There's a difference between an Israelite and a heathen. Now let me break down what I'm telling you here. And what I'm speaking of is what? Our cultural beginnings. And how we do what? Construct a society. There's a difference. And Christians have been confused because when they come, and I was a Christian, a modern day Christian, and I was confused. Going into the Christian church, one of the first things they begin to tell us is that God so loved the world and there's no difference between a Jew and a Greek. Right? Totally not rightly dividing the word of truth. Because there is a difference culturally and societally. There is. So they took these scriptures out of context to make people believe that God see all people the same. That there is no chosen people. Not realizing when Paul says there's no difference between the Jew and the Greek, he was talking about in judgment. If a Greek do what's right, he'll be judged accordingly. If he does evil, that's right, he'll be judged accordingly. And that's no difference between him or an Israelite. If I do right, I'll be judged accordingly. Because the Most High is no respect of judgment, no respect of persons in judgment. Now in that context, there is no difference. Mm-hmm. But the fact Paul mentioned Jew and Greek is a difference in of itself. Right? So the Christian church twisted things, distorted things. And this is why I'm going into today, living in the end of the world, because eventually the Israelites, God's chosen people, have been twisted up in the ball of confusion which has become Babylon. And through that, we have lost our position and purpose as a light to the Gentiles. right? Listen to me clearly. If we're living in the end of the world, it's upon the prophets or God's people to magnify that, to highlight where we are prophetically before the world ends. But we're caught up in it, not realizing we're living in the end of the world. There's a purpose for Israelites right here, right now. Unfortunately, a lot of us don't understand, according to the Bible, what the end of the world looks like. Elder Lawya.
Yes, sir.
I need you to get Deuteronomy 6. I also need you to get Deuteronomy 7. And hold that and get Deuteronomy 10. An Israelite perspective is supposed to be different than the world's perspective. We are a world and a society in of ourselves. But captivity has destroyed that aspect. I'm going to tell you, it have destroyed that outlook and purpose when it comes to an Israelite. Listen to what I'm showing you here. When I said earlier, there's a difference between an Israelite and a Gentile. What did I mean by that? And I'm going to use this first as a premise before moving into the lesson altogether. Because Israel have lost his purpose as prophets, teachers, and have chosen to go along with a world that will soon be destroyed. When that wasn't intended for us. This world wasn't intended for us. We're better than this world. We are. But we minimize our worth to God by getting along with the Satanist and the ideology that comes with what? The judgment that leads to hell. So the Israelite in his mind must understand that the whole world watches you. The whole world watches you. Now, how they feel about you, that's on them. But they're watching. Listen to this. Elder Lawya, read Deuteronomy 7 and 6.
Deuteronomy 7, verse number 6.
Read it.
For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself.
He have chosen Israel to be a special people unto himself. Now that's a difference. See? Read.
The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth.
Above all people that are upon the face of the earth. Now, what makes us special? Is it our color that makes us special? No. Is it just because we're through the bloodline of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob that makes us special? Now, it plays a prominent point, but I'm going to say right now, if that's all it is for you, the answer is no. Mm-hmm. If all it is that I'm black, I'm an Israelite, I'm through the bloodline, and through that, the promises were given to our people, and this is only what you're standing on, the answer is no. There's more to it. But it's a start. What makes Israel so special? First and foremost, the Most High chose you. You have to know the difference, and more so, the responsibility that comes with being chosen. We're different. Read.
Verse 7, the Lord did not set his love upon you, nor choose you, because you were more in number than any people.
He didn't choose us because at this time, we were the smallest amongst all of the nations. He didn't choose us based on what? The number of Israelites. Brothers and sisters, he chose us in the womb before there was any such nation as Israelites. He chose us from the heavens to do his will on earth, to show the Gentiles how this living thing should get done. Listen to what I'm telling you, folks. How a society should be righteously constructed to believe and reverence a God and appreciate a God who have given us life. And to treat each other accordingly to the principles and laws of that God. Yeah. Sounds like an utopia, right? But what happens if they get Israel to play down in the mud and in the wallow with the Gentiles? See? This is what has made us special. Psalms 147, Elder Lawya.
Psalms 147, verses 19 through 20.
Y'all have to do me a favor real quick. Just hit the likes for me. I really appreciate it if you haven't already, okay? Psalms 147, 19 and 20. Read it.
Yes, sir. He showeth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. He have not dealt so with any nation, and as for his judgments, they have not known them.
It says he showeth his what?
His word unto Jacob.
He showeth his word unto Jacob. The word is the book. The Bible. The laws. Okay? This is why we hold these Gentile philosophers at arm's length when it comes to them claiming to be the authority and try to come up with an opinion on how we should be holding or teaching the word of God. He didn't give it to you. Okay? No disrespect, but stay in your lane. These Gentiles have propped themselves up and have boasted against the natural branches to a degree in which they can think they can stand in an authority to tell us what's right or wrong according to the word. When the whole world has gone to hell under their watch. You Gentile Christians that are over churches, you have had your shot. You have had your turn to show whether or not that the God you serve is the God of all gods. And have fallen short. The world that have been produced under your watch tells us exactly who you are. And I'm going to break that down in a moment. So no longer can the Gentile teachers and the theologian teachers or the apologetics or anything come and try to what? Correct what they don't understand because it wasn't given to them. The world has gone to hell under modern day Christians' watch. The word wasn't given to you. And I'm going to show you why. Read it again.
Psalms 147, verse 19. He showeth his word unto Jacob.
Come on.
His statutes and his judgments unto Israel.
Unto who?
Unto Israel.
Unto Israel.
He have not dealt so with any nation.
The Most High have never given his laws, statutes, and commandments to any other nation. And some people get frustrated. He's always going into race. He's always going into color. He's always going into... Listen, you know why we have to go into these things? Because the world has boasted against the natural branches. And usually, it's what we can't talk about is what we're supposed to be talking about. They have shaped a society in which people can no longer tell the truth without being shamed or argued into silence. And this is why the world is in the state it's in right now. Because what we should be talking about is that color does matter. Race does matter. That's what we should be talking about. Because society have taught us how to interact with each other, good or bad, based on these ethnicities. There's a pecking order in the earth of race that everyone knows exists, but cannot talk about it. So the reality is there, but no one can speak about it. So no, what we're doing is setting the record straight. You can have other people claiming to be God's people without what? Without any pushback, without any question. They don't even got to show forth history. And you say nothing. You say nothing at all. But our people aren't supposed to talk about this. Those days are done. Because why? We're living in the end of the world. And you can expect at the end of the world, the bloodline of the prophets would speak. You're sitting back in a world and letting the whole world go to hell in a handbasket. I'm going to show you what modern day Christians have allowed under their watch. Transhumanism, creating the ideal human through augmentation. Satan has segued a program through science to have people accept freaks right up under our noses to a degree where most people would do what? Will accept their next plan. Changing society as God created. This happened under the Christians' watch, where they're turning people into something else right up under your noses, using the code to do it. This is why they want Israelites to be silent and God's people to be silent. Because look what happens under their watch. They're not stopping Satan and Satan's ministers. They're not resisting nothing the devil is pushing. Drag Queen Story Hour. Where's the Christian resistance for this? Where's the chosen people? The people who are claiming to be God's people. Where's the hard stance to protect our children from Drag Queen Story Hour? Strong family alliance. Strong family alliance. Look at this, folks. Strong family alliance. How your LGBTQ child chest has your LGBT child chest come out? What is this? The family alliance? Folks, how is this the family alliance? The strong family alliance. Who's over family now? Has your LGBTQ child chest come out? Huh? An after school Satan club could be coming to your kids' elementary school. They cut out all the programs that would help, the extracurricular programs that help our people in the communities. And look what they've replaced it with, folks. All of the finances that went to help our people are going to them. With the modern day Christians aiding and abetting this activity directly into the pits of hell. I'll get back to this in a moment. But now everyone is more concerned with, well, what's going on with these Israelites? What's going on with that? We're the only people out there that's bringing forth some level of accountability to God's law. We're the only resistance in this earth against the devil outright and isn't ashamed or afraid of losing anything to speak the truth. We can speak the truth without caring about the risks. Can Christians? Or have you been shamed by the devil? Compromised by Satan? Read that again, Elder Lawya.
He showeth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. He have not dealt so with any nation.
He have not dealt so with any nation.
And as for his judgments, they have not known them.
And as for God's judgments, the Gentiles never knew the judgments of God. Because why? Their forefathers didn't teach it to them. It wasn't delivered to them. It was the Israelites' responsibility to be a light to the Gentiles. And to spread the good news or the gospel of Christ that would bring the world back into what? Some level of righteousness. Living in the end of the world, when the insane and or our freaks runs everything without opposition. Because they have worked to compromise the morality of God's people. Elder Lawya.
Yes, sir.
When we receive this law, Deuteronomy 7 and 6, it tells us we are a special people. the Most High said in Deuteronomy 6, make sure this information of being the chosen people of God is taught to our children. Let's read that real quick in Deuteronomy 6. Come on now. We're about 1,000 likes down. Please just hit the like button for me. It doesn't cost you anything to do it, brothers and sisters. We have a great lesson prepared for you today. Right? Come on.
Deuteronomy 6, verse 20. And when thy son asketh thee, in fact, let me go back.
Yeah. Thank you.
Deuteronomy 6, verse 1. Now these are the commandments, the statutes, and the judgments which the Lord your God commanded to teach you, that ye might do them in the land whither ye go to possess it, that thou mightest fear the Lord thy God, to keep all his statutes and his commandments, which I command thee, thou and thy son, and thy son's sons, all the days of thy life, and that thy days may be prolonged.
And that thy days may be prolonged. So the Most High gave us a law to make sure righteousness becomes generational. And even in captivity, to some degree, our people held to this. It doesn't matter what the KKK and all these people are doing on the other side of the tracks. We're going to serve the Most High the best way we can. And even though the seals weren't broken at that time, we didn't know we were Israelites, but at one time we were God-fearing Christians. We had a conscience towards God. We had a love for family. We were willing to do what? Sacrifice our own lives for our children. Even through chattel slavery. The other nations had to admire our connection with God in such a low state. From slavery, being separated, being thrown out with no land after slavery. We still had God. We still was that beacon of morality that the Gentiles looked towards for some level of strength. We were the balance in the earth, while the Gentiles act a fool. And when I say that, I'm not talking about all. There's some good people within all races of people. I'm talking about what was allowed through satanic governments in high places. The occult activity at the height of government was seen by what? Influential Christians who said nothing. So now the Most High is saying, you know what? Like I said the other day, Wednesday, it's time to awaken the lion. It's time to wake up Israel. We're in the end of the world. Let the whole world know, blow the trumpet, that if Israel come back to me, that remnant, I will preserve a remnant of them. And you know what? I'll cut the nation's time short because what? They are self-destructing the earth anyway. They have pushed a self-destruct button. That's what has happened, brothers and sisters. They have pushed the self-destruct button. When there's no more family, when it's okay to kill children, when no one can speak against the evil that's overrunning us anymore, it's only a matter of time before nothing is left anyway. Elder Lawya.
Yes, sir.
Let's go to Isaiah 5 and 20.
Isaiah 5, verse number 20. Woe unto them that call evil good.
Woe unto them that call evil good.
And good evil.
And good evil. That's the society we're living in today. Living in the end of the world. Where no one can point out or state what's absolute evil anymore. You ask someone a question which requires a yes or no, and you get answers like, well, yes and no. There's no absolutes anymore. So how can we come to a conclusion to anything when no one can agree on anything? How can we come to what's right when everything is a back and forth? An outside perspective with no agreement. Yes and no. When no one have to do what? Hold to anything morally anymore. And that's why the Bible says what? Woe to them that call evil good, good evil, and evil good. We've accepted what's wrong. I'm speaking of Israelites, our people. It was one time, folks, and I'm just going to go into it. There was one time that if a man, when I was growing up, put one earring in his ring, in his ear, the father had to understand what was going on with him. Is he taking a walk on the dark side? Okay, I hope none of these weirdos got next to my son. Okay. That's how, folks, listen, that's how simple our lives were. We didn't have the prestige and power and finances we have in number as a people right now, but we didn't miss it. Okay? It was about piety, righteousness, representing the family, right? And then it came out with guys running around with 2 earrings. It was one time we knew, I said this before, we knew that the occultists and the weirdos that listen to punk rock music, we knew that the tats and all that, the tattoos were for them. They were freaks. We knew these demented drug heads on LSD and all that, these college kids that would come out to defy and rebel against their parents, we knew they were riddled with demons. And what we didn't know, that they were working to initiate us into their rituals, while the Christians stood by. Claiming that we're under grace, we're not under the law. Not realizing Satan was sending their children from witch covens to deceive the innocents within our people, within our community. They were sending them from these colleges to turn our children against us. Now, our people have embraced that madness. This is what the end of the world looks like. When the Israelites, God's chosen people, began to do what? Relegate their position to the level of heathen. Read that again, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir. Isaiah 5, verse 20. Woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness.
What's right or wrong anymore, folks? We got our children in school. I mean, not my son. My sons know better. In school, and just will allow them to run around with children who they know are dealing on the dark side. Children that have been touched and all that, and that are dealing with that other persuasion and all that. And here it is, you got sisters and all that running around thinking it's okay to have friends like that. They think it's funny. And I'm like, when did it happen where our sisters began to think that it was okay to have a gay boyfriend? And that was something that should happen. And then you ask the sister, who do you believe in? Well, I'm a Christian. Mm-hmm. Huh? Well, you can't judge it. The first thing come out of their mouth. What are they teaching in your church? They didn't tell you that light have no union with darkness? The circle you run with. Huh? Privately. I need you to think about that. If you're going to hang out with someone that's dealing in that persuasion, there's something in you that's in agreement with it. And what's up with guys on a basketball court think that they can run around with a woman in her mind that's trying to be a man? Living in the end of the world. What are we living in? Matthew 24, Elder Lawya, where Christ says, as in what?
Matthew chapter 24 and verse number 37.
Come on.
But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be.
As the days of Noah were, also shall the coming of the Son of Man be. This is what living in the end of the world looks like, folks. Satan's plan to replace the image of God, natural man and woman. And for the last 2 years, folks, he have accomplished it, using Christians to push it. They have changed the genetic codes of everyone who agreed with getting this stuff in them. And what will be produced from you can no longer be called natural or human. That's right. You've heard about genetically modified organisms? Oh, you thought it was just food, huh? For the last 2 years, they have genetically modified people. We're going to hear an uptick of random killings and all that. People are going to lose their minds, being controlled with what's in them, being controlled from the outside. And this is what the end of the world looks like. The days of Noah. Replacing people who are not inseminated into the Borg. If they cannot replace you outright, they will genetically change you. And this is happening without any religious pushback. Muslims aren't saying anything. Christians aren't saying anything because they are a part of the systems that are targeting God's people. overview of transhumanism. Transhumanism, the belief or theory that the human race can evolve beyond its current physical and mental limitations, especially by the means of science and technology. Look up DARPA, brothers and sisters. Also, look into Pfizer. Look into Pfizer. Look into what mRNA is. Something that do what? Go into the cell and multiply within the body. What happened the last 2 years? What did individuals accept for the last 2 years? An intrusion. A science project on God's people. An intermediary formed between human and post-human. A transhuman resembling a human in most respects, but who has powers and abilities beyond those of standard humans. Outright, folks, for the last 2 years, and right now they are changing people. Based on an idea that biological evolution will eventually be overtaken by advances in genetic, wearable, and implantable technologies. And what? Implantable technologies. Didn't I tell you the mark of the beast was coming? Didn't I tell you this stuff was preparing the bodies not to reject the RFID chip? Didn't I tell you? See, but psychologically, they had to set up a world that we accept what? Sexual immorality and freaks and people dressed in all different types of things. You have to realize the psychological impact that's having on people in general to accept what they would normally reject. Because they understand what they're about to turn people into, folks. And what we're seeing now, it's just a transition psychologically to receive and accept something we would normally reject. Naturally. When they say born this way, I was born this way. Well, the product that's coming from the people who got this stuff is going to be exactly that, folks. They're going to be born this way. This is how Satan multiplies in the earth and make an army that cannot be turned to God. An army born to fight against the righteous. This is how they do it. Implantable technologies that artificially expedite the evolutionary process. Folks, let me tell you. I'm going to tell you, folks. I woke up a little bit after 9 in the morning. 9 in the morning. And it was clear in my mind what I had to talk about today. I put the title out days ago, Living in the End of the World. But I didn't plan this lesson when we put the title out days ago. I woke up this morning, folks. And it was clear in my mind what I had to talk about. Folks, brothers and sisters, I don't think anyone in the world understand the depth of the decisions people made in the last 2 years under that virus. There's a sleeping demon that's changing the genetic code of the majority of people who didn't get the placebo. And at the end of the day, they wanted to target our people in the communities to make us the people who they would more so concentrate the stuff on. Because they know that in the Bible, it was prophesied that we were the ones with the law who would come through the Spirit to judge unrighteousness before Christ returns. And they don't want us having children of the righteous, of the prophets. The Bible says, through the mouth of babes, I will speak through this people. They didn't want our babies coming out prophesying against the ills and evils of Babylon and the satanic imposition it has always had against the throne. So they said, we have to target the babies. Let's get it in. Let's get the stuff in the elderly first. Then we're going to move. But the target is the children. We must target the children so that they can bring forth something different. They cannot stop what you're hearing here. They cannot stop the word from coming from the throne. They know it. So they must change people. Read that again, Elder Lawyer.
But as in the days of Noah, or as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be.
What were they doing in the days of Noah?
For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage.
Marrying and giving into marriage. Now the Most High said what, brothers and sisters? When he made Adam and Eve, he said, be fruitful and multiply. Marriage isn't a sin unless it's a marriage against God. So that when he said they were marrying and giving into marriage, he was talking about the freaks that would gain political positions to begin to teach immorality and to incentivize it, only to include God's people in it. The Bible tells us that marriage is honorable under the Most High and the bed is undefiled. So when it says they were marrying and giving into marriage, we have to point back to whom he's speaking about. What happened before the flood? Transhumanism. You know what, Satan, if you can't beat them, join them. I'll change them. The Most High made the chosen people, but I'll do what? I'll incentivize immorality, have them tat up, have them worship Satan, have them incentivize them their fornication, lower their moral standards in the earth to the degree in which they're willing to receive me. If I can't beat them, I'll join them. So I will be injected into their bloodstreams and as Lucifer race and control their psyche. Transhumanism. Because these are the people who can who through the commandments can point out all that's wrong and make it where the people would need to have to do what? Make absolute choices between good or evil. And Satan doesn't like that. He liked the gray area. He loved the darkness so that he can deceive. But he knew that there was going to be some people that was prophesied in the earth that would point out absolute evil. So we had to infiltrate the church, the Christian church, knowing that that's where our people, even through slavery, took refuge from what? The evils, the evil that was always aimed towards us. We always took refuge in church or with God. So what did Amalek do, the synagogue of Satan, do? They infiltrated by sending ministers into the church to teach a heretical doctrine. That's what they did. Prosperity doctrine. evangelizing evil in our people. Without, no longer will the church be used as a political tool of protection for us. And then they sent the freaks in. Then they did what? They shamed the men out of position in the Christian churches and started putting up women as pastors. Living in the end of the world, where up is down, down is up, left is right, and no absolutes, while the devil destroy our children. Read that again, Elder Lawyer.
But as in the days of Noah, but as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day that Noah entered into the ark, and knew not until the flood came, and took them all away.
And took them all away. Those that were marrying, giving in to marriage. When it's transhumanism back then, it was what? When the sons of God came and dealt with the daughters of men and brought forth a new genetic code in the earth. The children of Satan. A whole nother bloodline that was born to rival the chosen people of God. So now through their science, they've learned how to do it through injections now. To change the genetic code. And Christ said, hey, know when this happens, I'm coming back. Because guess what, folks? Satan has pushed the switch. And we're going to hear about more people just killing each other and all that. And not just our people. He's at odds with every race on earth. And it's upon the Israelites to be a light to the Gentiles, to tell the Gentiles, listen, it's time to come to the side of righteousness and follow our God's law, or you're going to fall with the rest of this world. I don't see no one in the synagogues teaching stopping what's going on. I don't see them using their public forums to resist what's happening right now. Where's the Christian forum? Standing up and saying, well, hold up. It's obvious. There's an obvious campaign to turn our children. Where's the resistance in number with Christianity? Christians aligning and saying, we're drawing a line right here. Does that exist? You would think all those religious institutions would be teaching, would be showing signs of the end of the world, starting with what? The science that's currently changing people. Man, I read something in the news the other day, where someone just got up, a woman just got up and just shot her husband. Now, usually when that happens, people ask, well, he must have did something, this, that, and the other. But you know what I ask? In my mind, I wonder if these people have the stuff in them. I wonder. Mental illness will go up exponentially when something foreign is working in your body and you're trying to fight against that. And your cognitive senses can't get control of what your body's doing. The first thing came to my mind was, was there an argument? I wondered, did they get the stuff? People are being changed. And this is why Christ said, as in the days of Noah, the world we're living in. This is what living in the end of the world is, folks. We're living in the end of the world where, let me show you. We're living in the end of the world where a drag queen story hour can be done and financed through a nonprofit organization where they don't have to pay no taxes with no resistance from believers. Oh, yeah. You didn't know this was nonprofit money that the government normally doled out to minorities, which before they changed it to minorities, it was our people who suffered chattel slavery. It's what the civil rights money was supposed to be for. But none of the Christians in our community are going to city council in their areas and saying, yo, how can this be a nonprofit money or money going towards this organization that's against our moral code as a people? Yeah, living in the end of the world where a strong family alliance now means, has your LGBTQ child just come out? Now, as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to someone's body and what they would like to do, that's their business. If you defile your temple or you do something against the moralities that's written in scripture, there's a judgment for you individually. I have no problem with someone making a personal choice that would lead to a judgment that only they would have to deal with. I don't have a problem with that. My problem is when when they're looking to promote this as the norm to our children. Where now you are influencing our children in an impressionable time of their lives. You are influencing their decisions. When it comes to what? Morality against immorality. If that's what you wanted to do, that should have been your business. And then when you try to use the money, the tax money that we've worked and put in for to incentivize it, that's when you know it's something else, folks. Because no one ever stopped a person from being with whoever they would like to be with. That was their business. That's between you and your God. And at the end of it, there'll be a judgment for it. But when you start targeting the children at an impressionable age, when now you're making that an option within their mind, and without letting them organically make choices that normally comes from the home. Now we understand what? It's an agenda. Not just an agenda of letters. As was the days of Noah. That's the agenda. Who's pushing this? Who's pushing this? Elder Rawchaa, let's go to Genesis 3 and 15.
Genesis 3, verse 15.
Read it. Then go to 3 and 16.
Yes, sir. Chapter 3, verse 16. Unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. In sorrow shalt thou bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee.
Come on.
And unto Adam he said, because thou hast hearkened unto the...
I need you to go straight to where it says, I should put enmity between thy seed and her seed.
Yes, sir. Verse 15. And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed.
And he was speaking of the serpent. That the serpent would have a seed in the earth. One seed that was destroyed before the flood. Transhumanism happened before the flood, folks. There's nothing new under the sun. And it's a shame that many people were deceived for the last 2 years into getting a seed implanted into them through sorcery, through science. Something is in you lying dormant. And it's a shame that people were so scared, were so fearful of losing everything, that they may lose everything. That's right. Including their soul. People have been changed right before us, folks. These people who have taken a lot of these people, hopefully that some people got a placebo where it was nothing at all. But the people that got the stuff in them, I'm talking about the stuff that goes into your genetics and change you. Hey, we warned you. We told people, what did we say? Stand pat. This is just a phase. And you notice they move right off of this like they didn't scare the whole earth for over 2 years. You noticed? Oh yeah, we have enough people changed now. What's the next phase? Oh, well, let's go into the Ukrainian-Russian war. That's the next phase now. We got enough of these people who've always, now mind you, it was their way of living that led them to the choice outside of God's choice. See? Because why? Those who really fear the Most High know not to do any of this. And they only fear God and God alone. Which means fear tactics by the devil on earth doesn't work on them. We fear the Most High and God alone. We don't fear someone who can do something to the body, but can destroy the body and the soul in hell. So fear tactics doesn't work with true believers. Oh, ain't you scared? Hey, you go inside the supermarket? Oh my God, I'm gonna put on 2-3 masks. These are the people, folks, who are fearful that are being changed because they never really had a fear or believed in God. They believed in the God of this world. See? So when it all happened, really it's the life it was how they were living to that point, which led them to the wrong decision. Because their church didn't teach them how to fear God and God alone. Their church was nothing more than an extension of this world's government. Let's read it, Elder Lawyer. Read that last piece again.
Genesis 3:15. And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed, and it shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel.
Now let's speak of that seed now. That seed. Now, of course, I'm going into this when we break down the 4 beasts of Daniel in the academy. But Jacob has 12 tribes of Israel. Jacob has the 12 tribes of Israel. But Esau, Jacob's brother, has the 12 Caesars. Has the 12 Caesars. Julius Caesar, Augustus Caesar, Tiberius Caesar, Caligula Caesar, Claudius Caesar, Nero Caesar, Galba Caesar, Otho Caesar, Vitellius Caesar, Vespasian, Titus. Vespasian and Titus are the two who destroyed our people in 70 AD. Domitian. That's right, brothers and sisters. I'm going to be going more into that, the 12 Caesars in the Hebrew Bible Academy. But the Most High had a chosen seed through Israel or Jacob who would be a light to the world. And then the devil, Baal, the ancient Baal of Babylon, the satanic serpent, would have a seed chosen from the chosen seed of Abraham. Out of who? You got it. Isaac's loins. So when it says, I will put enmity between thy seed and the woman's seed, the devil would have a seed, but it would have to be through the chosen bloodline of Abraham and Isaac. It would be Jacob as one bloodline and Esau as the other. The 12 tribes of Israel against the 12 bloodlines of the Caesars. In the earth. The real war. And the 12 bloodlines of Caesar would eventually begin to mingle, sacrificing some of their children into transhumanism, sorcery, and witchcraft. They would be used in this earth like who? Like Satan used Cain before the flood. Esau. He would be used to back science against God's book. Elder Lawya, 2 Ezra 6, 8, and 9.
2 Ezra chapter 6, verse number 8.
Come on. And like I said, folks, we do research. We go into it. A lot of this stuff takes hours to teach. Sometimes we be in the academy from 9 in the morning, sometime to 3 to 4 p.m. Okay? Every Sunday. That's school. So even if we wanted to go into this history and all that, it would take us countless hours that we dedicate strictly for the academy to do so. So, like I said, everything I'm saying isn't just rhetoric. It's from the word of the Almighty, and we put it in the school context so that you can actually study it and know that what we're bringing forth is true with the resources to back it. That's all I have to tell you. This is what the Most High gave us. He gave us what to teach on the Sabbath, what to do on Wednesday, and he gave us how to teach in these classes. Okay? 2 Ezra 6, 8, and 9. HistoryTimes.org. That's all I can tell you. Let's read it.
2 Ezra chapter 6, verse 8. And he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born unto him, Jacob's hand held first the hill of Esau.
Come on.
For Esau is the end of the world.
Esau is the end of the world. Christ said in Matthew 24, as in the days of Noah, then shall the coming of the Son of Man be. Esau, the children or the bloodline of Caesars, would be at the end of the world pushing Satan's agenda against the world. That's why there's no religious pushback against immorality, transhumanism. Because transhumanism and the freaks are what? That's right. They are, folks, part of Satan's army against the righteous. See, and this is why none of them want you reading the Bible. Because the Bible is absolutes. No, you cannot do that. No, you cannot. No, a man cannot put on a woman's clothes. A woman cannot dress like a man. No. It doesn't matter what you've been through. It doesn't matter what happened when you grew up. It doesn't matter how much education you have. It doesn't matter if you can articulate why it's okay to do so. That's why. Because when you start crossing those lines, children begin to see those cross lines as the norm. And it confuses their directions going forward. And it makes it harder for them to find the paths of righteousness. It makes it harder for them. When I was growing up, growing up with my family and all that, even before I knew anything, folks, I grew up and I wanted to find God. Growing up. I remember 5 and 6 years old, I'm sitting there wondering, who is this God they're talking about? And I wanted to find him. And the last thing we need is all these confusing messages on the road, on the path of when children are naturally seeking purpose from the time they began to do what? Wonder what their lives will be as an adult. The last thing they need is confusing messages. And that's why the Most High gave Israel the law, going back to the beginning of this video. What to teach their children. I remember 5 years old, 6 years old, wondering about this God. When my family went to a funeral, everybody talked about this God. And I'm like, will I ever experience anything with who's this? What does he expect from me? What are his rules? See? What are God's rules? Only to grow up in the church where the Christian pastor started telling me that God rules no longer applies. Oh, the law's done away with. We can't keep the law. We're not under law. We're under grace. It's as if the law became bad. They're teaching the law is bad. Woe to them that call good evil and evil good. See, if you're not careful with these devils, they can use trick words and philosophy to convince you the absolute reverse of a precept in the Bible. No one can keep the law. We're under grace. We're not under the law. Grace to do what? Grace to do what? Huh? Grace to do what? Let me ask you a question real quick, pastors, because I know pastors are looking at this too. Is this guy in drag for Story Hour, is he under grace too, if he accepts Jesus? Who's teaching your children? Is he under grace? He's doing a good thing. He's teaching children. He's teaching children. Drag Queen Story Hour. Pastors, is he under grace and not under the law? You see what happens, how dangerous those doctrines are when you don't rightly divide the word of truth? Because everybody's going to fall up under your grace now, including this guy. Just asking, pastors. See what happens when you play in gray areas? When you teach us a doctrine that it's okay that we're not under the law, making the law bad. When through the law, Paul said that he didn't have the knowledge of sin unless he knew the law. And he considered that the law was good. But yet Christian churches don't teach that part of Paul. How do you know sin? Unless you knew the law. Elder Lawya, read that again.
Yes, sir. 2 Ezra 6, 8, and 9. And he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the hill of Esau. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. Esau
had 12 tribes too, folks. Families that control the earth, the elite families of the earth. You have to be of a certain bloodline to get voted into the papacy. You have to be in a certain bloodline to be elected to marry within the families of England. A certain bloodline, you have to be a czar to be put in position over Russia. And certain levels of government. There's 12 tribes ruling us too. The 12 tribes of Edom. Okay. All right. Full disclosure. And Esau's full aim is to do what? To consolidate power and to stop Jacob, our people, from getting it. That's their, believe it or not, that's one of their sole, agendas. Our God say don't do this, they'll push the opposite because it keeps us under subjection. Why? Because they're not subjected to the punishments like us. Because the Most High didn't give the law to them. So they'll push it, knowing that it more so affects us negatively. Because it wasn't given to them. They'll push all this freakisms and all this other stuff because the law was given to us to uphold. Esau is the end of the world. This is what the end of the world looks like with Esau in charge, folks. How you like it? Right? Now, there's more now, Elder Lawyer. Now, let's go to the sower real quick since we're talking about seeds. There's a righteous seed and there's an unrighteous seed, right? Elder Lawyer, now let's go real quick to the sower.
Yes, sir.
You good? You good right now?
Yes, sir.
All right, good. Let's go to Matthew 13 and let's go.
Yes, sir. St. Matthew chapter 13, verse 1.
Come on.
The same day went Yeshua out of the house.
Hold up now. We do have about 3,400 people in here, thank the Most High, but we're still about 1,000 short. You don't want... Listen, I'm bringing this stuff today, but y'all have to help me out. At least just hit the like button. Okay? Real quick. Real quick. It's one of those lessons, right? So we're talking about the seeds right now, right? Living in the end of the world. Let's go, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir. The same day went Yeshua out of the house and sat by the seaside. And great multitudes were gathered together unto him, so that he went into a ship and sat, and the whole multitude stood on the shore. And he spake many things unto them in parables, saying, Behold, a sower went forth to sow.
A sower went forth to sow. Read.
And when he sowed, some seeds fell by the wayside, and the fowls came and devoured them up.
Now, mind you, in the context of what we're teaching right now, brothers and sisters, where in Genesis it says that I would put enmity between thy seed and the serpent seed. And eventually, the seed of the righteous would bruise the head of the serpent. Christ would eventually bruise Satan's head. The head is what? That's right. The thoughts, the mentality to construct or build an empire that would oppose God's people on earth, Christ would crush. And it's happening, that's right, in spirit already through the awakening. Where the head of Esau and his ideologies are getting crushed by the Bible, using God's people. So the context right here are the seeds. Right? So he says, there's a sower who went out to plant. Now Christ is that sower, folks. Everything Christ sowed in the earth is good. Right. From the beginning. See? And it's up to the wicked to try to turn these seeds adverse to God's law. Against God's law. That's like sending a spirit in a mother where the baby's pure. Good. Everyone is coming to see the baby. Oh, the baby's so cute. Oh, man, looks like he got strong hands. Innocent. And what happens? You know what happens. The seed grows up and get influenced, even though the baby was born into the earth innocent. He gets what? He become influenced and begin to read in front of our children. No one knew that this young boy would turn into this. Folks, Satan is targeting from the womb now. From the womb. Now, if you want to go back to the transhumanism part, so you can, I'm not going back there, but I'm just giving you an example. How what Christ sends in the earth is pure. Read.
Verse 4. And when he sowed, some seeds fell by the wayside, and the fowls came and devoured them up.
So there's some seeds that's out there that's planted. And the fowls come to what? Take them away. They don't take root. Read.
Some fell upon stony places, where they had not much earth. And forthwith they sprung up because they had no deepness of earth.
Come on.
And when the sun was up, they were scorched. Because they had no root, they withered away.
Come on.
And some fell among thorns, and the thorns sprung up and choked them. But others fell into good ground and brought forth fruit, some 100-fold, some 2-fold, some 30-fold. Who have ears to hear, let him hear.
He that have ears to hear, let him hear. Now, why did Christ say that? He said that because you would have to have what? Your spiritual ears open to understand it. He wasn't just talking on the surface. Now, eventually, Christ explained this to the disciples in private. What he meant by this. What he meant by this parable in public. Right? Read.
Verse 18. Hear ye therefore the parable of the sower. When anyone heareth the word of the kingdom and understandeth it not.
He hear the word of the kingdom. He or she. And don't fully understand the depths of what it is. Read.
Then cometh the wicked one and catcheth away which was sown in his heart. This is he which received seed by the wayside.
This is he who received seed by the wayside. Right? The seed is in the person because the truth was taught, but the devil's there and saying, you know what? If this person began to union with others, they'll defy me. So while this person is thinking on what this is that might change the trajectory of his life, I need to come in and confuse that thought. Because if that thought take root and then it gets watered, this person will become strengthened against me. So I have to do what? I have to target the thought that came into the person and confuse them concerning it. These are they who received the knowledge on the wayside. They knew it struck a chord somewhere, but that seed wasn't watered. They didn't build on that initial thought. And Satan seen that and say, yo, let me go in and confuse that. Because at the end of the day, what happens? That person will eventually do what? Don't forget who, I'm going to show you who the sower is here, folks. But eventually that person is going to go back and become worse than they were before they heard the voice. Because if this isn't the path, and now I'm totally convinced it isn't, and suppose that path is the short path, the narrow path, and now you've convinced yourself it isn't, Satan has gained an ally for life. That's how it works, folks. That's why people try to come in and sow doubt in a person. Because what is their alternative if it's not the truth? The world. They're now justified in their minds to go through life winging it. Okay? Winging it with no direction. And then they'll come into their mind, they'll actually, believe it or not, convince themselves, well, if God wants me, he'll find me. He'll find me. A seed was planted. He did find you, and you denied him. Or you was confused. Cross signals happened when Satan came in and said, if I don't take this thought out of this person's mind, I'm going to lose him. I'm going to lose her. So he must come to sow a seed, to make doubt in that seed. Right? It comes as a thought. You'll hear something and be like, yo, man, I don't know what these guys are talking about, but that made sense. Mm-hmm. Folks, it wasn't those guys. It was Christ planting the seed that you're responsible for now. You have to follow up on it. Right? Finish reading.
Yes, sir. And when anyone heareth the word of the kingdom, and understandeth it not, then cometh the wicked one, and catcheth away which was sown in his heart. This is he which received seed by the wayside. Verse 20. But he that receives seed into stony places, the same is he that heareth the word, and anon with joy receiveth it.
They receive it with joy. Man, you hear what they dropping? That's the truth. Mm-hmm. Right? Man, we Israelites. Man, that's deep. Read.
Yet hath he not root in himself.
But yet he have not root in himself. Because the seeds eventually gain roots. Roots grows into the soil, take all the nutrients out of the soil, and get watered. And now that plant is growing up stronger and become a strength. And the root grounds the person. Grounds it. Like, listen, I don't care what happened at the surface. The weather can come by. Somebody can step on the plant. But guess what happened? Another one will come right up out there through the concrete. Because it has root. It can weather the storm. So instead of the feel-good part of the knowledge, and that's what people make an error on. They can only agree with the stuff that makes them feel good. But if you're rooted in knowledge, you know that what, brothers and sisters? That the knowledge is sweet going into the mouth, but it's bitter when it hits the belly. The reality of the life that you must lead now, and the choices you must make when it comes to what? A life change can be staggering. And that's why some people are like, well, no, I don't want to deal with this because a lot of my life is rooted in what the law says is wrong. My relationships are rooted in contrary to the Bible. See? Because they're not rooted, they think that it's all about telling them the good stuff. I'm an Israelite. One day I'm going to get the kingdom. We're God's people. Or being able to dance over Esau and say, yeah, I'm better than Esau. And all this other stuff to make you feel good about it. But nah, the Most High didn't give you the knowledge just to know that. He gave you the knowledge to understand the responsibility that the individual now has with that seed. Even the bad part. What bad part? Yeah. Pick up your cross, pick up your crucifix, and follow him all the way to the death. All the way till your whole life belongs to the kingdom. Right? So these are the people who aren't rooted. They be like, well, hold up, man. I didn't sign up for all this. Now all you see is a puff of smoke. See y'all later. I like the good stuff, but hey, I'm out. Right? Read.
21. Yet he have not root in himself, but dureth for a while. For when tribulation or persecution arises.
There it is. There it is. When it was all good and you was hearing the good stuff, it was all right. But then persecution arises and you're gone. Not realizing that before Christ's ministry, he was tempted of the devil. Understand that. When Satan see that you have chose Christ, he's going to begin to pull back some of the things that you have gotten in this world, because he's the God of this world. He's going to start causing trouble in your life, at your job, amongst your family, with your friends. He's going to do that because he's in control of them. To try to break you, shame you into coming back. I'll embrace you. Come on back. I'll give you more. Don't follow him. See? Come on.
21. Yet he have not root in himself, but dureth for a while. For when tribulation or persecution ariseth because of the word, by and by he is offended.
These are the people who get offended. And now, because of the offense, they make an excuse that everything they learned, which was the seed that came through the purity of Christ, was incorrect. They justified in their mind. They have to justify it in their mind in order to live a life as if they never heard it going forward. So they must use the offense and say, I wouldn't have been treated like this if that was the truth. It can't be the truth. What about Christ? How should he have been treated? And what did he do? How should was Christ offended? And what did he do? He endured the cross. So now, because I got a little disagreement or something else, this can't be the truth. And that's why Christ says, unless you be like little children, you shall in no wise enter into the kingdom of heaven. Children have arguments, they go back and forth, they'll fight each other in the sandbox, and 2 days later, those same children are in the sandbox playing. This is why growing up, parents knew not to get in the children's business and make rivals over what children do. Because now you have an argument on the block between two adults, and those same children are going to be playing basketball together tomorrow. Them same children are going to be playing again tomorrow because they don't hold grudges like we do. That's why growing up, grown folk knew if people fought and all that, the parents ain't going to be out there making a fool of themselves, fighting other people and all that. Because little children are more forgiving than adults. That's why it says, unless you be like little children, you should not know. You can't use every offense as a reason to put your tail between your legs and run, as if there's some place to go, living in the end of the world. There's no other place. There's no other place. If I wanted to, I can take an offense all the time. I got people online saying this and doing that. And you know what I do? I laugh. I smile. Because I know it's only the devil trying to sow something in me to make me believe that, okay, I'm not appreciated. This, that, and the other. And like, what's that? That's weakness. That's weakness. Okay? If Christ endured these things, no, the servant ought to endure these things also. The servant isn't more worthy than his master. If Christ suffered being persecuted, being talked against, lied on, and all that, being harmed by others, know that, you know what? You ought to suffer those things too. Suck it up and finish the work. And that's what is told in my mind when I see all the mess. The Most High is like, listen, that's mess out there. Finish what you're doing. Can't you see the devil trying to derail you? Finish what you're doing. Finish reading.
21. Yet hath he not root in himself, but endure for a while.
Come on.
For when tribulation or persecution ariseth because of the word, by and by he is offended.
By and by he is offended. Or she is offended. But then they look back after what? Time have went by with their lives and was like, you know what? A lot of people look back and say, you know what? I was played. I was played. Because look at my life now. You'd have think me making a choice to not be amongst my brothers would have turned out better for me. When I had a family who loved me, who cared for me, who would die for me. And I let a moment play me out of position. See? Finish reading.
22. He also that receives seed among the thorns, is he that heareth the word, and the care of this world and the deceitfulness of riches choke the word.
It chokes the word.
And he becometh unfruitful.
And he becometh unfruitful. Which means what? He was supposed to be bringing many people to the Almighty. But the cares of this world and this world alone has limited or stopped that ability. See? Read on.
23. But he that receives seed into the good ground.
But he that receives seed into the good ground.
Is he that heareth the word.
He hear the word, and or her. They hear the word.
And understandeth it.
They understand it. And what comes with understanding it? The good and the bad. The good of knowing we Israel, the good to know that Christ died for us and that he's accepted us back and cleansed our sins, and the tribulation that comes with it too. You're not going to be in such company of the heavens with this word and not have opposition on earth. When you get a chance, look at that movie, The Devil's Advocate, and you'll understand the world you're really living in. Where at any time, Satan can use any demon out there, any person out there. To do what? To prick the righteous or try to engage you into a path that leads back to him. See? Finish reading.
23. But he that receives seed into the good ground is he that heareth the word and understandeth it, which also beareth fruit and bringeth forth.
Hold up. Bear fruit and bring it forth. Read.
Some 100-fold, some 60, some 30.
See, and that's how you keep tally, brothers and sisters. And this is why I don't care what anyone say out there. I know what Christ said right here. That as long as I'm in the earth, as a teacher in this earth, I will bring forth people and open the minds. I will bring forth many-fold people in the spirit of Christ and deliver them as I can with everything in me to him. You can say what you want to say, but in the heavens, you know what they're saying? You know what? Another one came to the truth. Another one is here. Another one has been baptized. And that's all that matters. Because Christ said he'd give you that talent. And when he come back, whatever that talent was, you can't give him You can't give him back what he sowed in you. You must multiply that seed so that we can have some people in the earth to gather with to fight against the serpent seed. We can't just sit back with the word and think it's about learning and knowing scriptures without application, building a nation. And that's how you keep count. You can have one guy in the corner talking all this, whatever they got to talk, and then you can say, well, who's actually doing the work that Christ commanded? To be rooted and to bring numbers to him that would serve him and know his Father. That's how you keep count. And that's why let me just put myself here. People can say what they want to say about me and talk about me while I talk about him. Okay? While I talk about him. Because I'm going to tell you right now, I don't have no kingdom to give a person. So focusing on me isn't going to do it. You're going to have to do this if the seed is sown in you. You would direct that's right, your mission towards this number Christ is talking about. Look, and what I'm saying, you can fill in the blanks with any individual, even yourself. Doesn't matter what someone says about you. While they talk about you who have no reward for them, you talk about him who has everything for all of us. See? Read it.
Yes, sir. But he that receives seed into the good ground is he that heareth the word and understandeth it, which also beareth fruit and bringeth forth, some an hundredfold, some 60, some 30.
That's how you know. That's how you know when a seed is in the earth to fight against Satan's seed. Because they bringing forth numbers towards the kingdom. Who can now with God laws oppose the unrighteous. This is how we align people together with God's law to have a voice to resist agendas that are destroying our people. Read on, Elder Lawya.
24. Another parable put he forth unto them, saying... Now
I need you to go straight to 38 for me.
Verse number 38. The field is the world.
The field is what?
The world.
Now, when the disciples came to Christ, brothers and sisters, they wanted to know in private, what did he mean in detail with these parables? Because don't forget, Christ said, he that have an ear, let him hear. So there was higher understanding in these parables that can only be shown private to those that Christ would entrust his ministry with. Read.
The field is the world. The good seed are the children of the kingdom.
Hold up. The field is the world. The good seed are who?
The children of the kingdom.
The children of the kingdom. The people who were sent in this earth to one day inherit my kingdom. Read.
But the tares are the children of the wicked one.
But the tares are the children of the wicked one. A matter of fact, let's go up a few verses because let's go back to where you left off so they can understand the wheat and tare.
Yes, sir. 24. Another parable put he forth unto them, saying, the kingdom of heaven is likened unto a man which sowed good seed in his field. But while men slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat.
While we slept, and that slept happened during a time of darkness, when we were in captivity. Esau knew exactly who we were. And while we were in a sleep mode, not realizing our true purpose and promise, the enemy began to educate us against our God, against ourselves. They social engineered us into thinking like them. Read.
But while men slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat and went his way.
And went his way, read.
But when the blade was sprung up and brought forth fruit, then appeared the tares also.
Then appeared the tares also. The example I give you is when these Satanists come into our neighborhood with tats on and all this other stuff. These punk rock looking demons with green and yellow hair that you think are innocent. No, they're coming in to sow ideas into our children, to have us think adverse to the moral standing we were raised with. That's how Satan sends in people. He'll send them as school teachers. He'll send them as pastors to your church to sow ideas you would normally resist. See? But if you know the laws and you have a moral standing as an Israelite, you can look at that and say, that's a child of the devil. You're planting ideas against my father's law. Read.
He said unto them, or verse 27, so the servant of the householder came and said unto him, Sir, didst thou not sow good seed in thy field?
Yeah, let me give you another just idea that came within, that people accept they accept as a banner, that you know is a seed or an ideology of the devil. What's a strong, independent woman? When woman came from man. See, that idea alone is what? A seed from the devil. There's no strong woman who believes it's better for her on her own. That's adverse to nature. There's a demon there that hates the image of God. And it could have been the circumstance of the man that led her into that thinking that I hate men or whatever the case is. It could have been a circumstance, but it takes on an ideology. And I'm using that as an example. Because of her personal experience, she has now went against the order. She had been now coaxed in with the devil, convincing her to go against the order of nature. The order of nature is that women weren't meant to be independent. They were meant to be a helpmeet to a man, regardless of whether or not you've been hurt. It's against nature. I'm just giving you an example. That's a seed being sown. That's against nature. Okay? And that's how they slowly did it. They divided the man, divide and conquer. And then they allowed a lane where anybody can come in as an excuse of what's been done to them to operate adverse to God's nature, leading from the breakup of homes to what? The advent and the promotion of homosexuality, which is really, it's all in the same lane, folks. When you divide the family, it's open game. It's Sodom and Gomorrah. So that's how it happens. Men become immoral, untrusting. Women no longer can trust the man and have to embolden themselves to be independent, thinking that what? There is no man that I can trust my heart with. But by that, what happens? They both become adverse to nature. And that opens a lane, because it was the man and woman together that was supposed to withstand the ideology that comes with the letter people. Once they divided man and woman, that opened up a lane like the Red Sea for the freaks to come out in the day. Not at night. So it's us taking on these ideologies. These are all seeds of the serpent. Read, Elder Lawya.
Yes, sir. So the servants, verse 27, so the servants of the householder came and said unto him, Sir, Didst thou not sow good seed in thy field?
So Christ, did you sow good seed in thy field? Read.
From whence then hath it tares?
So whence then have the tears? Read.
He said unto them, An enemy have done this.
An enemy has done this. And you know what this happened in our society more so than anywhere? When our children graduate high school and go to college. When they go to college, all types of anti-God ideology is pumped into their minds. And they come back to their community, our communities, respected, educated, but what? But are lethal. Respected, educated atheists are sent back to us. You can't tell them anything because they're educated. But they don't, but they don't know God. They don't know Christ. They have lost their innocence and compromising their purity for that fraternity. That's what the ideas are pumping. That's why they're saying, well, listen, hey, we'll do debt relief. We'll wipe your debt clean. Yeah, come to college. Yeah, and then you got people holding that as a badge. Oh, yeah. And now they point that predominantly towards our sisters. I'm going to tell you right now, that ideology that comes from colleges, if it's not tempered with someone with knowledge who can straighten that crap out, I'm going to tell you that stuff comes and it totally destroys a community. When my son, my oldest son, who played, he played for Temple University football. The first, because it says train up a child the way he should go. And when he is of age, he shall not depart from it. The first thing my son did was laughing with me. I'm sitting on the couch and we sitting there looking at sports or something together, you know. And when he came home and I'm sitting there with him and he showed me these Zoroastrian books. These alternative religion ideologies that they were trying to push to him in college. Eastern ideology of the worship of different gods is introduced as, you know, as a minor in some of these colleges. And he said someone sought him out to join that class. And we sitting there laughing. He says, Dad, look what they try to push on me. So imagine our children who don't have fathers and mothers with the knowledge of God, who are sending our children away to become educated. They're going to come back with all types of demons and ideologies if you don't root them first in Christ so that they can discuss these ideas with you. And it wasn't me just laughing about the Zoroastrian ideology they tried to push that would destroy my son's faith. It was him laughing at it. I'm like, yeah, son, give me that book. And I'm looking all through the book. It was all types of evil and the gods and the goddess of this and the god of that. At the same time, they're teaching us that we shouldn't follow the Bible, that the Bible is wrong, but they're pushing religion in the universities. And you know what? I'm like, give me that book because I'm going to make copies of it or whatever, and I'm going to teach against it. See? But these are seeds that are being planted with our children getting targeted. Keep on going because I'm almost finished. There's a few things I wanted to show. It's almost 3, but come on.
Yes, sir. Verse 28. He said unto them, An enemy have done this. The servant said unto him, Wilt thou then that we go and gather them up? But he said, Nay, lest while ye gather up the tares, ye root up also the wheat with them.
So should we go to each individual and move them out of the way? He says no, because you're going to root up the good with the bad. So Satan has sent his agents in to sow all these different seeds amongst our people and different ideologies outside of God's law. Folks, hence the reason why being an Israelite and following the law, listen to me clearly, and the Bible, that whole thing, that whole nuance wrapped up into one, is why the enemy is looking to attack and demonize the awakening of Israelites. Because being an Israelite makes it simple when teaching history as well as the doctrine of Christ, so that individuals can simply know right from wrong instantly. It clears up all the lies Esau have put in place since the time he have gained power. Okay? This is why you're going to hear them demonizing Israelites, making up Israelite groups and claim they did stuff. Because why? This is the key. Bringing brothers and sisters, Jews and Gentiles alike, back to the laws of God to have absolute stances on things now. On important resolutions and discussions. We can have an absolute unified voice with morality to stand on. To say, well, no, this guy dressed up, this guy right here cannot do story hour, okay? That can't happen. According to our God, this is sin. See? No, we cannot have our finances go towards any nonprofit group that would actually, we can have our nonprofit or tax money go against anything that's immoral against my God's beliefs. See? Absolutes. No. Okay? We can say no now. No. We just can't be getting in relationships hoping they work and all that anymore. No. You make the right choice with your families involved the right way the first time. And know that with any marriage, there's good, bad, sickness and health, till death do you part. Understand that that's what it is. And that there's no redos over and over and over again, knowing that you're losing time. See? There's absolutes now. Read. There's absolutes. Read.
Verse number 29. But he said, Nay, lest while ye gather up the tares, ye root up also the wheat with them.
Come on.
Let both grow together.
Let them grow together.
Until the harvest. And in the time of the harvest, I will say to the reapers, Gather ye together first the tares, and bind them in bundles to burn them. But gather the wheat into my barn.
Now, Elder Lawya.
Yes, sir.
I need you to now go to I need you to go to St. John 8:44. Speaking of the seeds who sowed tares amongst us. St. John 8:44. So who's responsible for sowing evil ideologies like we see? You notice the media and those in position who can actually withstand immorality, who's pushing these stuff. You notice that the Christians, I don't see no Christian front against the ideology of perversion. I don't even see a Jewish front against it, against the ideologies of perversion that's being pushed, the liberal way of living. Where's the resistance? Who's sowing the seed of perversion and sin amongst our people? Here it is, living in the end of the world where there's no resistance. You would think people in power position would resist the evil, since they're always highlighting the crime that's being done in our communities. They can highlight crime when they want to, but won't put in any preventive measures through media by highlighting or pointing out sin that leads to crime. You notice that? Like, for instance, and I'm going to give an example and I'm going to jump right back in. Domestic violence. People would think that domestic violence only happened between men and women, because that's the only time the media talks about it. But do you know, folks, and guess what? Y'all probably didn't know this, that the majority of calls for domestic violence today, for the last 7 years, have been amongst LBGT or the homosexual community. Did y'all know that? Especially when it comes to two women. Did y'all know that? And I'm going to bring out that data. I'll bring that out tomorrow and I'll bring it out Wednesday, because it's known news. It's just that they don't publicize it. They don't publicize anything negative when it comes to the end of the world activity that's getting pushed. See? Y'all probably didn't know that. The highest rate of domestic violence calls aren't between a man and a woman relationship. And I have the statistics on that. But they're suppressing that information, because what they're not telling you is a lot of the chaos and infighting that happens, especially when a woman wants to get back with her, her baby's father. Obviously, she liked men, but her financial circumstance led her to roommate or get with someone who can subsidize her living. And guess what, folks? There's a lot of that going on, where really they're in a temporal situation with someone, but still desire who they preference, what their preferences are. And this is happening amongst women all the time, where women are saying, listen, I'm not really like this, but my financial circumstance have led me here. And guess what? When these women try to break off and get back on their feet or get back, it's violence. And these phone calls be had all the time. Yet the media suppresses that. I'm going to tell you, read on. I'm going to bring out those stats tomorrow in the news. Like, read on.
You're of your father, St. John 8:44. You're of your father, the devil.
This is what Christ said to the Pharisees and scribes who are over the Sanhedrin and modern day Jewry. Those that are in position, because don't forget, the people Christ is talking to here were the authority over Israel, financed through the Roman Empire. And he said, ye are of your father, the devil. You're going to push the devil's agenda. You're going to sow seeds amongst my people and look to destroy my people and turn them to your God. He's speaking of the politicians, those that are over the synagogues. You're not doing Christ's work, Moses' work. You will sow the devil's work in this earth. And that's why Christ pointed them out, so that we at the very end could tie two and two together to realize that the media and the governments of this earth are pushing satanic agendas that would destroy us in the end of the world, and to be able to point to the factions and religions who are responsible for it. If you don't resist it, you are what? Behind it. And if you have the media and the media is not resisting certain behavior against the law, you know they're behind the evil. If the Christian church isn't resisting the evil, the laws being broken, you know that they are behind the evil. Read it again, come on.
Ye are of your father the devil, and the lust of your father ye will do.
You're going to do exactly what the devil set you up to do. You're a wolf in sheep's clothing, and you're going to come around as if you're my people, believing in me. See? Do not trust modern day religion. Do not trust what you see on the news. Because what? Eventually, you'll be changed. Matter of fact, man, I got a new lesson.
Oh, praises.
Hold on. I have a new lesson. I'm going to work on where we'll actually, whether we do it here or we may have to do it for the academy and then introduce it later. It's good. But go on.
Ye are of your father the devil, and the lust of your father ye will do.
The same thing your father did, you'll do. You what?
He was a murderer from the beginning.
He was a murderer from the beginning. Speaking of the spirit of Cain who came against Abel. Well, listen, that had been moved between Jacob and Esau now, seeking to murder and target our people. What lie about something that happened in Wuhan, China, to make everyone wear masks and everyone to do all that, only to say that the people in the poor communities should be first. That's a strategy, folks. That's a strategy. You are a murderer. You're really trying to kill off Jacob like Cain did Abel. We see you, Caesar, hiding behind Christianity, hiding behind the Torah. Now, you see the importance of knowing we're Israel? Because by us taking that identity back, which belongs to us, it gives us the authority to point out those who have led the world to hell. As long as they had the authority position, they could cloak their true intentions against us. See? They could cloak it. See? Finish reading, Elder Lawyer.
He was a murderer from the beginning.
Come on.
And abode not in the truth.
And abode not in the truth. They get in the media and lie. They demonize our people, God's people, as the criminals. But yet they incentivize this crime. They'll call us all types of druggies and this, that, and the other. But then the president will do what? Will give what? Crack pipes away. And drug paraphernalia away to promote the use of it. And then try to clean it up and spin it as some level of philanthropy or help for the people. Ye are of your father the devil, and the only thing you will put money behind is murdering God's people. Read.
It says, and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him.
Because there is no truth in them. And folks, and I told y'all for the last couple of years to sit pat. That eventually they're going to switch things off and they're going to act like this never happened. And I told you all not to follow what they were saying, not to defile your temple. Do not let them target your children because they're changing people. And now, yes. Here we are. Here we are. Where are we? I'm going to show you where we are. I'm almost done. This is where we lie now. Here it is. We told y'all not to do it. And now look. Transhumanism, creating the ideal human through augmentation. For the last 2 years, they've been changing people, prepping the bodies for the next phase, which is the mark of the beast, so that your bodies cannot resist the technology they will administer next. With their next scare under a new pandemic that's coming down the line. And that's going to be the next phase for you, folks. Right now, it was to prep your genetics not to reject the technology. But here's Esau's plan for you. To turn you into something else. If they cannot use you, they'll destroy you. Okay? But these are they will use in Satan's army in preparation for the what? The battle of Armageddon. Yeah. Your family, our family members who have taken that choice for the last 2 years, made that choice, they look like, and guess what? Who they are still exists. But they're someone else. Who they are still exists, but they're someone else, folks. And that's why I say I had to write down this lesson. We got something nice coming. But come on, finish reading, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own.
St. John 8:44. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own. He's the father of lies. He's a chameleon. He hide himself as Jacob, but really he's Esau. He's really Esau. He's the one sowing the evil in the earth and pushing these perversions and all that, knowing that it will what? Affect our people. It would turn our people against our God and eventually lead to a serious punishment on the children of Israel. Read on.
When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it.
He's the father of it, and the truth isn't in him. Read.
And because I tell you the truth, you believe me not.
And Christ says, because I tell you the truth, you believe me not. You would rather believe the liar who've been lying to us, leading this world to hell. Folks, how is it living in the end of the world? Where up is down, left is right, and you can no longer identify a man or a woman. Oh yeah. This is why they've been pushing the hair and all that. And I believe a sister can make a choice to wear whatever she want to wear. That's good. That's her choice. But understand why the enemy has pushed that. So that now the other persuasion, a man can now hide himself with a costume that we have deemed norm amongst our people. So that he can now, people now can masquerade. And now you'd have to really hone in and know, okay, hold up. What is that? The enemy have done this. Have planted ideas amongst our people so that they can now what? Cloak themselves amongst us. Real quick, Elder Lawyer. I have one more thing. A few more things. Almost done. Elder Lawyer, let's go now to Acts 13 and 10. Acts 13 and 10 and 1 John, the 3rd chapter.
Acts chapter 13, verse number 10.
Come on.
And said, O full of subtlety and all mischief.
Let's go before that.
Verse number 8.
Yeah.
But Elymas, the sorcerer.
Elymas, the sorcerer. The last couple of years, folks, the whole earth have been under a spell. The word pharmakeia comes from the word pharmakeia, or pharmacy is from the word sorcery. So they use the media to cast a spell on people, to have you believe there was some boogeyman disease that was coming to get everyone. Only so that you could receive the pharmakeia, the solution, which leads to transhumanism. Let's read it.
But Elymas, the sorcerer, for so is his name, by interpretation withstood them, seeking to turn away the deputy from the faith. Then Saul, who was also called Paul, filled with the Holy Spirit, set his eyes on him.
So you had sorcerers looking to turn people away from the true faith of this book. And Paul reprimanded that sorcerer. He didn't stand in that sorcerer. He didn't listen to that sorcerer. He condemned the sorcerer. So a real believer in God would condemn Pfizer, would condemn Merck. See? Read it.
Then Saul, who was also called Paul, filled with the Holy Spirit, set his eyes on him and said, O full of subtlety and all mischief, thou child of the devil.
Thou child of the devil. They're using pharmacy, sorcery. Read.
Thou enemy of all righteousness.
You're an enemy of all righteousness. If God say do it this way, you're going to push it the other way. Read.
Wilt thou not cease to pervert the right ways of the Lord?
Would you not cease to do what? Pervert the right ways of the Lord? They're not going to stop perverting the right ways, folks. They're going to keep pushing perversion because they're the children of the devil. See, a lot of people think sorcery is hocus pocus. Sorcery is a Harry Potter. When sorcery is settled, sorcery is psychology. To bend someone's mind to your will. And through that bending, have them convinced it's okay to break the laws of God. That's sorcery. Read that last piece again, Elder Lawya.
Then Saul, who was also called Paul, filled with the Holy Spirit, set his eyes on him and said, O full of subtlety and all mischief, thou child of the devil, thou enemy of all righteousness, wilt thou not cease to pervert the right ways of the Lord?
Will you not cease to pervert the right ways of the Lord? And this is what's going on with media and modern day religion, folks. They're trying to justify in their ideology and teaching. They're trying to justify amongst their teaching, justify sin. And say, well, you don't really have to follow the laws of God. The Bible don't mean that. They're trying to justify sin. That's sorcery. The wages of sin is what? Death. Let's go to 1 John, Elder Lawya. Let's go to 1 John, the 3rd chapter in the 8th verse.
St. John 3 verse 8.
Read.
He that committeth sin is of the devil.
That's the New Testament, folks. We speaking of those seeds. He that what?
He that committeth sin is of the devil.
He that committeth sin is of the devil. Folks, when someone tell you to get something in your bloodstream that's against the laws of God, that's defiling the temple and you're sinning against God. You're sinning against God. You're turning your whole body, your temple, over to the devil and your children. Read that again.
He that committeth sin is of the devil.
Is of the devil.
For the devil sinneth from the beginning.
For the devil sinned from the beginning.
For this purpose the Son of God was manifested, that he might destroy the works of the devil.
And this is why Christ was manifested, that he can destroy the works of the devil by getting in front of things and highlighting what? Highlighting or bringing attention to their true intentions. See? Their true intentions. Not what they're speaking on the surface. Folks, I found out, man, it's crazy. I don't have time to talk about it today, but I'll deal with it tomorrow in the news since it's fresh on my mind. How the database through the Obamacare was the Trojan horse that would have it, folks, where all of your data now can be seen from a third party, where there's no longer doctor-patient confidentiality. Now, in that database is not just your medical records, but also attached to your Social Security number is what? Your family, who they are, and any assets you own. So automatically in the database, if someone decides to get the stuff, they can now target what that person's that owns in the same database under the care and say, you know what? If this person is deleted, look at all the assets that are left. See? So now you can have people swooping in unassumed, getting all this property and all that, based on the fact that someone just happened to be called home early. Now, as you can see, I'm speaking a little vaguely there, and I hope you can tie two and two together. But this thing that we've seen the last 2 years gained wheels under the Obama administration, and that's why they're using the vice president to pick up from what he put into place. A healthcare plan which has nothing to do with healthcare, but have everything to do with the database that would tie all of our information together to know exactly what assets that they'll be able to get once your spirit is someplace else. But I got that in the news tomorrow. Y'all need wait till tomorrow and I'll pull that out. Read that last piece again. What verse are you at, Elder Lawya?
Yes, sir. 1 John 3:8. He that committeth sin is of the devil.
Is of the devil.
For the devil sinneth from the beginning. For this purpose the Son of God was manifested, that he might destroy the works of the devil.
Come on.
For whosoever is born of God doeth not commit sin.
Because he that is born of God do not commit sin. What is sin? A transgression of the law. See? So when someone is bringing forth an ideology against the law, that person of God resists it. See? And this is how we protect families. This is how we protect children. That no, if your lifestyle is against God, you are of the son of the devil. You are a Satanist. And I have no union with you. No relationship with you. We're not in agreement. If someone gets shot in the community, I'm not marching with you. Okay? You're not going to align yourself with me through a political ploy. You're not right. So why should I march with you as if we are aligned under the same ideology? And this is the mistake our people have made. To be poured into these protests and all that are controlled by evildoers. Mainly Black Lives Matter. What verse you left off at, Elder Lawya?
Verse 9.
Read the 10th verse.
Verse 10, in this the children of God are manifest,
This is how the children of God are manifest in these last days.
and the children of the devil.
And the children of the devil. So the Bible, folks, is absolute. Even in the New Testament. That we're not to live in this convoluted society in which one cannot make a decision or understand good from evil. We must know who are the children of the devil and who are of Christ or the Most High, so that we can align ourselves against these deceivers who have infiltrated us. Living in the last days is to move the chameleons from amongst us. They are intentionally destroying society and coming after our family and children. Read it again. Come on. That last piece all read to the 10th verse.
Yes, sir. Verse 9. Whosoever is born of God doeth not commit sin, for his seed remaineth in him.
For the seed remaineth in him.
And he cannot sin because he is born of God.
And he cannot sin intentionally because he's of God. He has a conscience to understand right from wrong. Read.
In this the children of God are manifest,
And this is how the children of God are manifest.
and the children of the devil.
And the children of the devil. We must draw the line. And it's not to do what? It's not to publicly call out someone or attack someone or bully someone or make someone feel less than. So it's not talking about targeting someone based on their behavior. It's speaking of not putting down our guards to a degree in which we will align ourselves with something that we know is wrong, and have them have a voice amongst us as if that they're deserving of it. Last scripture. No, I got what, 2 more? Yeah, let's go here. Let's go real quick, Elder Lawya. Let's go 1 Peter 1 and 23. James 2 and 5 first. James 2 and 5. Yeah. James 2 and 5.
James 2 verse 5.
Read.
Hearken, my beloved brethren.
Hearken, my beloved brethren.
Have not God chosen the poor of this world, rich in faith, and
Have not the Most High chosen what?
the poor of this world,
The poor of this world,
rich in faith,
rich in faith,
and heirs of the kingdom,
and heirs of the kingdom.
which he hath promised to them that love him?
Look at that. So the mistake we make is honoring or respecting someone based on their financial worth within the world. This is where the Rockefeller Foundation comes in at. The Belinda Gates Foundation, because they're rich, we think they know better for us than God, when really they're destroying us under the guise of what? Philanthropy. When really it's going to be the poor people that will change this earth and bring forth the true ministry to bring God's people back to him. Okay? The Bible tells you you're looking in the wrong direction. These people we're looking at, like the Bill Gates, the billionaires and all that, they're eugenicists. Their whole agenda is to get rid of us. When the Most High said, you know what? I'm going to use the poor and the meek to confound the wise. People who come from the ghettos of North Philadelphia, the ghettos of Chicago, the slums of Puerto Rico, the slums of the Dominican Republic. I'm going to choose the poor to change the whole earth. And that's our people's problem. We think we tie righteousness with success or with finances. I'm like, no, it don't have nothing to do with that. The Most High says he have chosen the poor out of nowhere so that man cannot take credit. We can't take credit for what's going on here because what? He poured us, all of us, out of the slums to proclaim what? The kingdom of God. And to let everyone know that we're at the end of the world. And yes, our people has necks. We have necks, folks. And keep in mind, it's time for us to draw a line. Stand pat on God's law and to be unmoved with it. Right? Man, we got a lot. Thank you. A lot of people in it. We are almost 4,000 people today. Praise the Most High. Let's go to 1 Peter 1:23. Let me tell you, and this was deep, folks. The Most High didn't use a mainstream multi-billion-dollar network to wake up his people. It's our people who went through the byways, gaps on the streets. I taught for many years, strictly on the streets, even in the streets of Europe. It's doing the leg work. What the enemy counted worthless. Having their multi-billion-dollar media conglomerates in place. And what they didn't bank on is the Most High. And another thing, what they didn't bank on, the need our people had searching for him. The need that our people had. Our people were spiritually deprived until the truth came. And this is what Bill Gates, all of them didn't bank on. They thought that they could just throw money at media conglomerates and it would drown out the truth. But we were in the streets. Okay? We went through the highway, byway, gaps. When the cameras were off, we were sitting down talking with our people. Reasoning with them. Letting them know that, you know what? We're in the end of the world, but you know what? There's nothing to fear. There's nothing to fear because why? Our kingdom is closer than any of us ever believed. And the only thing we have to do as a people is make it through the home stretch. Make it through this home stretch. Do not get deterred. They're going to be throwing all types of freaks and all this at us to divert us and all that. And we are to stand pat. Hold the ranks until those gates open. Elder Lawya, 1 Peter 1:23.
Yes, sir. 1 Peter 1:23. Being born again, not of corruptible seed.
So here it is. We being born again, not of corruptible seed. Read.
But of incorruptible.
But of incorruptible.
By the word of God.
By the word of God, being born again by the word of God. That means once we're baptized, we're taking back that law and standing on it. By the word of God, read.
Which liveth and abideth forever.
Which liveth and abideth forever. So once we were baptized, it was the Most High putting us before Mount Sinai again to receive that law. But not through Moses, through our King. Because Christ has done through the Holy Spirit what only Moses could have imagined. It's one thing to save our people out of Egypt. It's another thing to bring forth the Spirit that will go throughout the four corners of the earth to plant seeds, to bring forth Israel from the four quarters of the earth with that same law. Last but not least, I wanted to go into and let brothers and sisters know the importance of not being out there, or people who have gotten the truth became offended and only became worse instead of correcting their ways and coming back with the spirit of humility. Let's go to Matthew 12. Last but not least.
St. Matthew 12 and 43.
Read.
When the unclean spirit is gone out of a man.
Now, once we get that truth, which is a seed, and that unclean spirit have gone out of the man, and that happens at baptism, where the Most High rid us of a demon. Read.
When the unclean spirit is gone out of a man, he walketh through dry places seeking rest, and findeth none.
So that demon walked through dry places seeking another host, a person, but findeth none. Why? Because it's familiar with the host or the person it came out of. Okay? Now we understand the origins of demons happened before the flood. And this is why Christ says, as the days of Noah, then shall the coming of the Son of Man be. There was no such spirits as demons until the sons of God came and dealt with the daughters of men and brought forth Nephilim. Being that there's no place for these spirits, because the Most High didn't create them in the beginning. They was made out of sin. There would be no place for these spirits but to roam the earth until Christ judges the earth. That is what? The origin of demon activity. So what happens is, once we grow up, subjected to sin, not knowing the law, well, a demon becomes familiar and ties itself with a person. And it urges us to do sin against God. So when that happens, when we realize that sin will lead us to damnation, we confess our faults, the activity of that spirit, to the Most High and ask the Most High to rid us of that. And that demon leaves. And it walks through dry places looking for another person to enter. Read.
44. Then he saith, I will return into my house from whence I came out.
I'm going back. I'm going to go and look and find the person I came out of.
And when he is come, he findeth it empty, swept, and garnished.
He began to watch and see that person is pure. And it will sit there and watch. See that you are doing better. But it can't gain entry because there's a what? A hedge between you and that spirit. Read.
Then goeth he and taketh with himself 7 other spirits more wicked than himself.
So the wicked spirit came out. The wicked spirit that came out of the person, go find 7 of his fellows. More evil than him. Why? If he gained entry at one point into a person, the person going to recognize the old behavior and rid the spirit again. Like, hold up, I'm doing the things I used to do. He's back. So the spirit knows, being a familiar spirit, that it cannot hold place in the body without help. So he brings 7 spirits worse than him. Read.
And they enter in and dwell there.
And they enter in and dwell there. And how do they enter in? When the person opens the door through sin. So he comes in, but the spirits all go in together. Where now the person is dealing with mental illness, physical sicknesses, and all these other things to keep the person distracted so that the demon now can stay without being ridded, without being expelled. And this is what happens when someone is dealing with the knowledge of the truth and go back into the world, not realizing the spirit is like, well, okay, Now the person have a spirit of anger that was against people who did nothing to them. And now they out what? As a raging bulls, straying alone, mad at the world because they didn't sit pat. Read it.
And the last state of that man is worse than the first.
And the last state of that man is what? Worse than the first. Because even Christ says, where two or more are gathered in my name, I am also. And I understand being a part of the body of Christ is protection. There's nothing that's going to convince me to wander out by myself somewhere to believe that the Most High is dealing with me and me alone, and that I'm okay like that. If that was the case, Christ would have walked this earth alone without getting disciples who established churches. Now, why did I go into that, brothers and sisters? I went into that because living in the end of the world, there's what? A game Satan has played for souls. There's a game out there for souls. And there's certain places of refuge where we're constantly reminded of why we were called. So yeah, there's frustrating moments even within this truth in of itself. But at least being amongst the body, we're reminded why we're here. Why there's no other place better. There's no option outside of this. The protection is within the body. And if we're going to endure into the last days, the first thing we have to understand, no one can do this mission alone. And anyone out there telling you it's okay to be an internet Israelite survivor without a church are on the other side, on the outside of righteousness. They're just trying to justify those spirits who have made them loners. Okay? So let me put that out there right now. We cannot talk about living in the end of the world and understand why Christ is gathering the elect to the elect, folks. Because when they pull the plug, and they will pull the plug, we're going to need help amongst one another. And the relationships that we're developing while the light's still on are all we're going to have when the lights go out. Because that's going to be the next phase in all of this that I have to have classes on, that we're going to discuss further. Right now, we have the internet and all that where it can keep us distracted in areas that would have us, really, that would take up brain space without realizing how lonely we really are. But what happens when the lights go out and there's no more internet and nothing to keep us distracted or busy, and we're going to realize that nothing was developed to protect us in that time, for that time. You're going to realize the majority of the time was space that kept you distracted doing whatever. It's time to bind together because eventually, because they can't stop this, folks. They cannot stop what you're hearing here. They can't stop it. It's coming from the heavens. And it's not just coming from us. The only recourse they're going to have is to say, listen, this internet, we needed it and all that to bring forth a mark of the beast and all that. But Christ is on the frequency, messing things up. It's time to pull the plug. We can no longer control this medium. And when that happens, folks, they only have this because they have a short amount of time. And they need this to do a lot of work in a short amount of time. But when they see it's working against them, The same way Google brought YouTube and all these other things to try to slow things up. They're going to say, listen, the only way to stop this altogether is to pull the plug. No more internet. We don't care about the computers. It's gloves off. It's mono on mono. And then you're going to realize you're going to be sitting in your remote area realizing that you waste time and you didn't make spiritual allies that amongst the chosen seed who can protect you in this day. I'm going to tell you that right now. So the truth is, the whole experience of living in the end of the world is a humbling experience. And it's an experience that's coming that none of us want to deal with alone. With that, I thank the Most High for your presence today. May the Most High be with you. Stay prayed up, sin not. And brothers and sisters, we're going to see you tomorrow. See you tomorrow in the Hebrew and Bible Academy with our lesson taught only for the second time in the Academy, finding the Ark of the Covenant. What is it and where is it? Shalom. And thank you, brothers and sisters, for all your support. We love you. We know your prayers are out there for us. We're praying for you. And never let the devil deter you and make you believe this experience is anything other than what it is. Okay? Yeah, we're taking steps towards the kingdom, brothers and sisters. And we are the kingdom people, the children of Israel. And guess what? We're back. Shalom.
Shalom.
HistoryTimes.org. To Zion. I was lost, but now I'm found. I'm a child of Israel. I heard the sound. You hear the sound. Please give me the strength to stand today. With my eyes towards the east, show me the way to Zion. I'm on my knees, laying my life on the line. I'm begging, please don't let me fall. Give me the strength. Place my feet, Lord, guide my path. Show